I'm Kerry Barrett. Darlene is off today. But those crowds.
Yes.
It's 5:10 right now, still ahead. Crux of this report shows that SUV jumped to curb to face a judge today.
There are so many families and of course men out here as well, but so many teenage girls and young girls as well. And in fact, two of them we talked to earlier today.
He was deliberately making changes in not only the speed of the aircraft, but also the direction. School supplies are expensive. They can cost nearly $500 a student. And if you have a couple of kids, it adds up.
The Princeton-Mercer Regional Chamber of Commerce and Hal English, the president and CEO, are proud to sponsor the Central New Jersey Buy Local Connection.
America's best minds have been meeting and visiting in Princeton, New Jersey for almost 250 years.
Every year, nearly 1 million passengers come and go from this airport with unparalleled convenience. So avoid the stress of large commercial airports and come fly with us at Trenton Mercer.
A magnificent destination with incredible cuisine. Celebrate weddings, parties, or any special occasion. Yasna Plana will dazzle your guests.
Meet us in Mercer County, New Jersey. See you soon.
Welcome to Central New Jersey Buy Local Connection. Today we have a very special episode with a very renowned guest on set with us. Kerry Barrett is actually a wonderful, incredible artist in the field of video. So you started, Kerry. Welcome, Kerry.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And you received an Emmy. Let's start by the beginning of your story, because we are really here to actually help you to understand and navigate the world of video and video production. So start with your story.
Well, I appreciate you first of all, I appreciate you having me on the show. Second of all, I appreciate you calling me an artist. I've never been called that before, but I do think you bring up a really good point, which is that the creation of video, and with that I include being on camera as part of the artistry. It is not just science. There is an artistry to it as well, and that's part of understanding who you are and who your audience is and your messaging, and then of course your delivery, which is my sort of area of specialty. But yes, to answer your question, I was in the news business, in the news industry for 20 years. I was a producer for a tiny little portion of that when I first started, and then I was on air as an anchor and a reporter. And I finished at NBC, Channel 4 in New York City. Channel 4 if you're in the northern New Jersey and New York City area. I was terrified of public speaking. I actually wanted to be a veterinarian when I was sort of exploring my academic options as a child and in college. Organic chemistry put a very swift end to that. And I re-enrolled in communications, partly because no organic chemistry, bonus number one, and then secondarily because I knew I had this terrible fear of not just speaking in public, but of even really being seen. So, it goes way back to my childhood, even being afraid to get up in front of my classmates and do a book report with other kids, other friends. And so I knew that by re-enrolling in communications, I would have to take a public speaking course, and hopefully that would help me get my arms around this fear that I had, and one that I knew somehow intuitively would hinder my professional development. And I didn't know exactly what that profession was going to be at this point, but public speaking is a very common fear, and it is one that is also necessary, especially if you are public facing in your business or in your organization and you need to create a brand. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but to answer your question, that public speaking course was really the beginning of my journey to being on camera. I figured out that I actually did quite enjoy it. And I got an internship at a local TV station down there in South Carolina where I did my undergrad. And from that point on, I realized that not only did I have to get over the fear, but that I also had to get good enough at this that somebody would pay me to do it. And then I could like put food in my belly and a roof over my head based on my skills. And that was really the beginning of this odyssey. Maybe is a bit of a grand word, but that's really how it started.
And that is amazing, because you have completely transformed from the moment you were on camera first time on the TV till your journey. And we talked a little bit during the break, you know, we talked about your journey on TV and so on, and how different it is from place to place.
Yeah.
But what I really would like to come into is to go over your fear. And today you're a master in training people on camera to let them know how they need to look, and how and what they need to transform. And so give us the bridge from that woman that was out there on TV to the moment where you decided to help others.
Yeah. Oh, I'll give you the abridged version because it's probably lengthy, and I've talked to my therapist a great deal about this particular transition. But I was in the news business, as you mentioned, for 20 some odd years. I was in New York City for my final job in my news journey, if you will, or my news career. And I had my third child. He was 8 months old, and there had been pockets in my career where I had grown frustrated with television, and I had grown frustrated with the schedule. I love morning TV. I love the spontaneity. I love the ability to ad lib. I love that it really allows you to show your personality and develop a rapport with the audience in ways that are not as easy to do if you're in a more formatted show like evening news. All of that I loved, but getting up at 12:30 in the morning for almost 20 years straight had taken a toll on me. I had, very little social life, marriage on the rocks. I was sort of a shell of myself. And so when my contract was up, I had the option to, either sort of delay the inevitable and stay in the TV world, or take a jump and figure out what came next. I opted to take the jump without any planning or runway built of what exactly it was that I was going to do. I just knew that there was something out there that I could do that I would have impact and meaning, being able to sort of help people with. And this was really before video came into the forefront in terms of like marketing and sales for businesses and organizations. And when I left and I explored what I could do in the corporate world, I had so many people say, "You're nuts. You have this skill set that you've curated over 20 years. You've won an Emmy for being your on-camera work. You're an expert at it. And oh, by the way, you weren't born this way. You overcame a giant hurdle to get there. So why don't you help business owners, executives, lawyers, understand how to deliver well on camera?" Because it's not just about the content. It is about the content, certainly, and understanding your message, but it's also being able to deliver in a way that has your audience kind of eating out of the palm of your hand. Because if you want to be memorable, if you want to have impact, if you want to have influence, you've got to be compelling when you show up. We all understand the importance of public speaking, although most of us hate it. Speaking on camera is the new public speaking. And so being able to deliver to a lens, which is entirely unfamiliar to most people and not a natural thing, and compounded with the fear we have of public speaking, it creates this sort of perfect storm. And so I took my skills of storytelling and on-camera delivery and production and script writing, and now I help the aforementioned business owners, lawyers, executives deliver well on camera so that they can secure media opportunities. Let's say you want to be on CNBC or Fox Business, or you want to host webinars for sales, or you want to create video social media content because that's a great way to keep yourself top of mind and establish trust with your audience. And while most people talk about time to create video being an issue, that's not true. It can be done very, very easily. And tech, also, you don't need anything other than the phone. When I find that is really at the core of most people not embarking on this video journey, if you will. It's that fear of showing up and the fear of, I don't know what I'm doing and I look like an idiot and I don't know what to say and I'm worried that I'm boring my audience. And so that's where the fear is, and that's what I specialize in helping people with.
So as you know, we at Your Town Tube is a platform that help our community to be seen through the videos and the video lens. And right here downtown in Central New Jersey Network Television, we help other people to be able to produce their own TV show. And before we go really into more of the fun part about the tips and the little things to switch and, you know, your special sauce, is really, I always believe that first, go for it. And this is what I love about your story, and this is why it is actually a total special edition show, is because we have right here a story of a person that started here, that evaluated, that crossed the bridge, reinvented herself, and now delivering a superior product. And this is for me a leadership into the area that we love so much, who is to be behind the lens. So, you know, would you say to someone, and not talking about Kerry Barrett, the trainer, okay, but just someone, go out there, pick up your phone and go for it?
Yes, but, and I'll give you the yes part. I always advise, and you'll see this if you follow me on LinkedIn or follow any of my social media content, it's sort of exposure therapy. One of the easiest things to do is to just open up your phone, and I happen to have mine with me because I always carry it, and talk into this side, not into this side, because this side we get distracted with our face, and just riff for 30 seconds a day. Whatever, it doesn't have to be about business. You can talk about your coffee in the morning, you know, the fact that your spouse is annoying you, or like whatever's going on. You're excited because the weather's nice. I don't care what it is. This is just for you. It's not for anybody else. Riff into this for 30 seconds a day and just practice getting excited about what you're saying. And then watch. And then pick one thing that you'd like to work on, and maybe it's eye contact. And work on that then for the next 5 days that you do this, 30 seconds a day. And then once you feel like you have the eye contact thing figured out, then maybe move on to the next thing, which is maybe energy. And you want to boost your energy is that's usually where the—
Few coffee a day?
What's that?
Few coffees a day?
A few coffees a day, yeah, or more. At least 3. And work on that. And then once you feel like you have some of that figured out, then move on to the next thing. Do that for 30 days and then look at your first video and your 30th video, and I promise you, you will see a difference. The key is not to try and do everything all at once, because if you try and do all the things, you will end up doing none of the things, and then you get frustrated. What I will tell you is, I showed up on TV every single day, 365 days a year almost when I first started. And it took me, with mentors, etc., probably that much time until I really got my feet underneath me. And then there's still room for progression. So if you want to get from point A to point B quickly and with less public pain, it always helps to have somebody to guide you. But if you're looking to do it on your own, that is the best way to start. Just do it, and do it in a safe space where nobody needs to see it. It's just for you.
I actually love this tip that Kerry has given us right now. We are going to go to break, and please enjoy the video. Welcome everyone. This is Gabby Johnson presenting Your Town Tube, that is producing those 2 newest shows that will be joining the fleet of our other show. Central New Jersey TV show, monthly show, will be the Princeton Today, starring Mayor Mark Frida and Councilwoman Michelle Piron-Lombrose. And our second show with Mercer County Today, starring Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber of Commerce President Hal English and a United United States of America, Mrs. New Jersey, Diana Myers. I would like to start by Princeton today, starting with Mark and Michelle. Tell us a little bit, what is the show all about?
Hi, Gabby. We're really excited to present all of our wonderful businesses in town. We have great restaurants. We probably represent every type of cuisine there is in existence. You can have a trip around the world just to come to Princeton. And then we have great retail. And of course, right now we've been doing a lot of shopping for the season, but it's really great to present all of our wonderful businesses.
Princeton's a great draw. Mercer County's a great draw. There's a lot to do in the area. Thanks for helping us highlight it all to everyone.
And today with Mercer County, today with President Al English, United States of America, Mrs. New Jersey, Diana Myers. Tell us a little bit what will be your show.
The entire Mercer County offers, and that's a blend of the best people, the best events, the best businesses and merchants, organizations, talent, and history, because it is 249 headed into 250th anniversary, and we are the crossroads of the revolution.
Wow, the crossroad of the revolution.
Very excited to work with Diana again. I got to work with her briefly this year with our New Jersey Women's Conference, and looking forward to the show. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Welcome back. Today we have very special guests with us, Kerry Barrett. And just before we left for the break, she has given us a valuable tip that you can try at home to actually master yourself from the lens. But stay all the way till the end to learn all about her MVP program. Right now, Kerry, I love the fact that you have given us a tip before we went to break. But really, what are the ins and outs of what you have experienced since you are training people from the lens?
It's so interesting. People have, much like public speaking, there's a lot of baggage that's brought with getting in front of the lens. There's a reason we don't like getting in front of a stage and talking to people, and it's mostly because we see the audience as a predator. The same concept applies when you're in front of the lens, except because most of us are not as used to it, right? Most of us in some form or another have had to get up and talk in front of a group of people in person, and most of us don't like it. I used to be one of them. But because we're not in front of the lens as often, we don't necessarily see the parallels. And so usually what I find is that it's not somebody who says, I want to start creating video, or I want to host webinars because I understand that my audience is not local, and if I get on a webinar, I can sell and educate, one-to-many on steroids. It's not because they're trying to do these things and they recognize that they don't have the skills. It's usually because they've tried it, and then they've watched, and then they've realized, like, ooh, God, I'm kind of a dud. That felt really awkward and weird, and I don't like it. Like, I have a client right now who is on CBS News. She's a doctor. She did her first media hit, and she's, and I think she's quite good. But there's a lot of things that she didn't realize when she got up on the set, like, I don't know how to sit, or I don't know how to cross my legs, and where do I look, and how do I tell stories, and how am I compelling? How do I keep
It's like when you take a picture.
Yes.
When you're in front of a picture, and it's like, oh, take this, and do this, and
then you're like, oh, I still didn't suck in enough. But it's when they try it and they realize it took me 127 takes to do this one video, and I still hate it, or it didn't have the effect or the impact that I wanted it to. And there's a lot of opportunity that I'm missing because I'm not building a brand, or my business isn't building a brand because I'm not creating video. So usually they've tried it, is my point in that long rambling story, and then they realize that they don't feel good doing it, or they don't have the impact, or they don't know what they're doing.
I think that this is the most important point. Most people, when they create video content, they look back at themselves and they're like, oh my God, this is awful. Yeah. How do you fix it?
Well, I still hate watching myself. So if there's any consolation for you, a quarter of a century in, I still hate it. And it's just one of those things that you have to get over, because you're probably always going to hate watching yourself, but you learn how to compartmentalize. Like, I have learned through good experiences that no matter how much I hate myself on camera, the audience
Loves
for the
it.
most part, still likes it. So
Yes.
the mission is bigger than the fear or the self-critique. And so, I'll work with, I have a lawyer right now who's trying to put a video together for his website because he has a new offer, but it's taken him 6 months because he doesn't know the techniques. Or another law firm, a multinational law firm, they have a chair and a co-chair of their industry group who creates a book each year, and they want to court legal press, and they need videos to create that sort of traction and buzz. So it really runs the gamut. But generally speaking, when somebody comes to me and says, I either want to embark on this or I have embarked on, I don't know if that's a word, you know what I'm saying, embarked on this, but I don't like it. How do I get better at it? And how do I shorten the process? And so there's generally, I run them through a framework. It's the MVP framework, and I'm sure you know that as most valuable player. In this world, it's mindset, vocal variety, and physical performance. So mindset is moving from considering yourself a deliverer of information to a performance mindset, which means that you understand how you say something and the way you say something is as important almost as the content if you want to keep people engaged and keep them watching and create the impact that you want. So that's mindset. And recognize that even if you're talking to an audience of 1 million, you're really only ever talking to one person. So creating that mindset as well. And there's a process to do that. The next is vocal variety, which I think is hands down the biggest challenge that most people have. Delivering in a way that's not monotone. And creating pattern interrupts to re-engage your audience each time you change your voice. And those 4 main vocal variety elements, if you will, are projection, pacing, pitch, and pronunciation. I don't worry as much about pronunciation because we all have regional dialects. I don't think it's as important, but projection, pacing, and pitch are huge. Pacing, how quick or how slowly you talk, and you need to change it up in order to keep your audience interested.
Yes.
And projection, of course, how resonant your voice is, and using your authentic voice. When I first started in the news industry, I put on a broadcaster voice because I was playing an anchor. It's not about that. It's about being who you are, but being your best self. And then pitch, the octave with which you speak. Raising your voice at the end of a sentence to indicate a question, that sort of stuff. And so using your nonverbal verbals, if you will, in order to keep the audience interested. And then physical performance is everything else that goes into delivering on camera. So we're talking about facial expressions, we're talking about hand gestures, we're talking about energy, which I'll dive into in a little bit more depth here in just a second, and eye contact. The biggest problem that people have when they get on the stage or in front of a camera is that we have a tendency to shrink. Again, we see the audience as a predator. That means you. I hope you're not here to kill me. We see the audience as a predator, and it makes us want to shrink. And there's a psychological phenomena that goes on with that. But that's all you really need to know at this point. And so it's breaking out of that desire to shrink and not be seen. So, it means maybe using your hands more than you normally would, or leaning into the camera when you have something particularly exciting to say. In terms of energy, all of those things combine to sort of dictate or evoke your on-camera presence. Energy is the biggest mistake people have. Low energy. Being on camera energetically flattens us. Think about this, and this is the last word I'll leave you with. If you are sitting at a crowded restaurant with 8 people at your table and it's noisy and you're trying to talk to the person who is catty corner across the table with you, what do you do to get their attention? You probably lean in. Maybe your facial expressions and your hand gestures are a little bit amplified. You probably project a little bit more as well so that they can understand what you're saying. Conceptually, speaking on camera with a little bit of variation depending on your format and who you're talking to. Conceptually, though, it's almost exactly the same. You want to think about that when you're delivering on camera. For most people, it's a significant bump in their energy.
So basically the example will be, hey, Kerry, how you doing?
Yeah.
Or would it be, hi, Kerry, How you doing?
See, that's why you're here. You're good at this.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
100%. Now, we like on the Buy Local Connection because we are all about our community, and I love the fact that you link your training to help other leaders into our community to be perfect on the lands. But let's talk about fashion and colors. Yes. Are colors important depending which kind of, report you're going to have on that lens?
Absolutely, and it depends a little bit on your audience as well. So as you might have noticed, I like to wear bright colors. That's a holdover certainly from my TV days. Aside from the fact that black and white, unless you're in an environment like this and you know you're going to have good lighting, those are usually colors to stay away from because they can amplify a bad lighting situation. They can make it worse. I like bright colors, solids. Brand colors are always a good idea if you are in front of a camera and you're not sure what to wear. If you've got a brand color that is a solid and is a bright color, wear it. If you are ever unsure, your solid bet is blue. Like, you look fantastic. Blue is universally flattering. It's great with almost any light, and there is a shade of blue that will work on everybody. Universally, there is a tone that will work for you. So if you're not sure, blue is the way to go.
So it's funny that you say that because I nearly wear pastel this morning, and then I'm like, I know Kerry is going to come with some kind of color. Yeah. So I'm like, I better be able to,
we look good.
Yeah, there you go. So you heard it here first. Don't be afraid of the camera lens. And if you are, then reach out for Kerry Barrett because she has the MVP program for you to participate.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. And see you soon.
Welcome to Mercer County, New Jersey, where history echoes through the streets and stories of the American Revolution come to life. Step back in time and discover some of the many sites you can explore here that played a crucial role in the birth of our nation. Begin your journey at the Trenton Battle Monument, where George Washington claimed his first battlefield victory. It was here, on a cold December morning in 1776, that Washington's bold attack on the Hessians changed the tide of the Revolutionary War. This victory brought hope to the new nation, a turning point in the struggle for independence. Next, visit the Old Barracks Museum, where history truly comes alive. Built in 1758, this structure has witnessed both British occupation and American triumph. Tour guides in period costumes share the stories of the soldiers who lived, fought, and healed here, bringing you face to face with the past. At the William Trent House, explore the home of Trenton's founder, William Trent, and reflect on the history of the enslaved individuals who worked this land. The site honors not only the Revolutionary period, but also the Lenni Lenape, the original stewards of this land. Just a short drive away, in the heart of Princeton, is Morven Museum and Garden. Your visit begins with a stroll through gardens full of growing crops and flowers in bloom. Then enter the Morven Museum and follow in the footsteps of Richard Stockton, a signer of the Declaration of Independence. This National Historic Landmark was once the New Jersey Governor's Mansion and remains a window into our nation's past. A short walk away, and you're standing before the Princeton Battle Monument, commemorating Washington's victory at the Battle of Princeton in 1777. This stunning monument celebrates the sacrifice of General Hugh Mercer and the courage of those who fought to shape our country's future. And finally, step onto the historic grounds of Princeton University, where Nassau Hall still stands tall. Built in 1756, This grand building was the site of the British surrender and even served as the U.S. Capitol in 1783, where news of peace with Great Britain was received. Remember, the next time you visit the region, Mercer County is more than just a place. It's a gateway to the very roots of our nation's independence. Come visit, walk in the footsteps of revolutionaries, and witness the history that shaped America. Right here in Mercer County, New Jersey.